What's up troopers and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial I will show you how to build an animated clone trooper phase 2 helmet out of EVA foam. The build is pretty simple and I will guide you through it step by step. So let's get started. We will start with heating the foam to make it as flat as possible to prevent any inaccuracies. Then we trace each molds on the foam with a felt tip pen. I'm not showing you how to print because I already did a short video for that and it's always the same steps. Cut out the pieces with a sharp box cutter and don't forget the registration marks that will guide you for gluing. Before I glue these pieces to a nice round dome, I will give the foam some heat and form it into shape. Apply some contact cement on the cut edges and spread it with a small piece of foam or a brush and let it dry for a few minutes. After that, carefully close the gaps and fix it with paper tape to prevent opening of the seams. Do that for the left side as well and glue the two halves together. If you see that the dome is not round enough, you can apply some heat and fix that. Do that before any priming or painting to prevent unnecessary work. This strip will be glued from the inside of the dome, so apply glue like I do and glue it in. Don't stretch the foam, that will cause ugly deformations to the helmet. Now we have a nice round dome, so let's move on to the face piece. The face piece needs some extra thickness to make the cut downs, so just glue some 8mm foam on the back. Do that for all 4 areas and then cut there along the lines with a cut down. This is how it looks like and now we can bend the piece into shape before gluing. Apply glue on the upper back side and then glue it on the excess areas of the dome piece. For now we will just connect the pieces up to the round parts where the earpieces come. This rectangular piece is 60mm thick and comes at the back of the helmet. The bottom line will be a very slight inward cut, the other sides are straight. Remove this area on the strip piece to make place for the back piece and glue it in. After that you can close the face piece around the helmet and connect it with the rectangular piece. The helmet may be a bit bumpy right now, but that will change when we move on. The two earpieces are also 16mm thick and just like the rectangle piece at the back, cut the lines at the bottom with a slight inward cut. I use my rotary tool to round up the earpieces at the top. After that, just glue it under the sides of the face piece so that we have an overhang of 8mm. Fix it with paper tape to prevent it from opening. These 3 pieces will form the side and back tube. Mirror the pieces in the middle to prevent unnecessary seams and connect them along the registration marks. Again, use paper tape after gluing. The top and middle piece will not be even at the front, so don't worry about that. Then just connect the bottom piece to get this tube-like structure. I used some paper tape to get the pieces into shape and then used my heat gun to let it stay like that. After that, connect at the back first. The earpieces left and right will align with the registration marks as shown. Like always, I use paper tape, and now you can clearly see the shape of the helmet. To connect the face piece with the tube, we need to add a little piece of foam at this edge. I just glued an 8mm piece right under this part and cut away the excess material. Now we can just put on some glue and connect it with the tube. And this is how it looks. If you want the edges to be more pronounced, make a V-cut on the inside. The mouthpiece contains of a 5mm base and 2mm detail pieces glued on. Simply cut it out and glue it under the face piece. This is starting to look really great. The front tube is this piece right here that will be glued together to form a cylindric shape. Cut away these two parts of the chin piece with inward cuts and make V-cuts at the back side of the chin piece. Fold the edges like this and glue the chin piece under the mouthpiece. After that, we can attach the front tubes and align the chin piece along the line on the front tubes. If you want, you can cut away the excess material if it disturbs when putting on the helmet. This is how the front tubes now look when attached. For the bottom chin piece, we need these three pieces and glue them together like this to get an S-shaped piece. But before that, make cuts at the back of the round piece and shape it like this. Now glue the pieces together like this and you get this chin piece. Now glue on the little pieces from the big chin piece that we removed earlier. We get this box-shaped piece that we glue under the big chin piece. If you want, you can get rid of this piece like I do. Now the helmet is getting more and more into shape. To close the side and back holes, just glue 5mm foam covers from the inside. For the ears, you need 5mm foam and glue on these details. Make small cuts halfway through the foam to open the seams with some heat. Now we have nice detail pieces. Simply glue the ear details on both sides and cut away the excess material. To cover the tubes at the front, use these 8mm discs with outward cuts and glue them from the inside. For the mohawk on top of the helmet, you need a large 5mm strip and two 8mm stripes left and right. Attach the mohawk on top of the dome. These pieces are foam dowel with 8mm thickness and circles of 2mm foam on top. They get at the front tubes but at the very last after we have painted everything. The chin detail is a piece of 20mm foam dowel with a 2mm layer on top. It also comes at the very end. The last thing we need to glue on is the knob at the back. For that I use a 40mm foam dowel and a 2mm strip on top and cut away an edge to glue it on the back piece. And now the building process of the helmet is finished and I couldn't be happier. The build is pretty easy and the shape of the helmet is just perfect. To fill the seams all over the helmet, I use Liquitex modeling paste. I put some on my finger and rub it inside every visible seam and hole to fill it. After letting it dry for a few hours, sand it down with 500 grit sandpaper to get an even surface. Next I will cover the whole helmet with Mod Podge. I mix it with a few drops of water and brush it over the helmet. Let it again dry for a few hours and the helmet gets some extra stability. Also carefully sand the Mod Podge with 800 grit sandpaper to make it smooth. I already wanted to prime the helmet with filler primer but forgot to cut out the visor. Do that after applying Mod Podge so the visor area won't deform. Make sure to use a sharp box cutter to get a smooth cut edge. After removing the visor part, I sprayed the whole helmet with red filler primer. This will fill some deeper surface areas and give extra stability. After it dried, you can see that I have some drips and also some visible seams. But that's no problem because now we can clearly see where the helmet needs fixing. So I apply Liquitex again. This time I tried it a bit more liquid and sand it down with 100 grit sandpaper until I have a smooth and even surface. After that I sprayed the helmet with the first coat of primer and again saw some areas that needed fixing. But after a few hours and steps of priming, filling and sanding, I could not be more happy with the clean result. Before going on with the painting process, I'm gluing in the visor shield. For that I use welding shield, cut out the right size with the brim for the glue, cut it out with a scissor and then use contact cement to glue it from the inside. To save the visor from the paint, I covered it with paper tape. Now I give the helmet a few coats of matte white paint and after that clear coat to save the paint from any damage. I wanted to make a shock trooper helmet, so I taped everything and applied some red paint. Let it dry for a few hours and again apply a clear coat. After painting the red design, I decided to give the helmet a used look. So I took some 80 grit sandpaper and make some damaged parts to make it look like some rocks or other flying objects damaged the helmet. After that I painted several detail areas with black and grey acrylic paint. I tape everything so I don't mess up my work and then simply use a paintbrush to apply the paint. Don't apply too much at once so the paint won't get under the tape. That looks really great so far and now we can weather the helmet. For weathering, mix some black acrylic paint with a bit of water, brush it in the edges where much dirt would be and rub it off immediately with a paper towel. The wet paint will stick into smaller gaps and stay there, which creates the effect of a dirty battle-used helmet. Let the paint dry for a bit, put on a clear coat again, and now it's nearly finished. All we have to do now is glue on the tube and chin details and remove the tape from the visor. And now the helmet is finally finished. I'm more than happy with how good the helmet now looks. It took a few days for the sanding and painting process, but it was definitely worth the effort. If you want to build this helmet too, take a look at my Etsy shop. The link to that is in the video description together with the link to my Instagram. I'm currently working on an animated Commander Wolf helmet variation. This will be an additional video to this one, also with other variations for Cody, Bly and others. So if you don't want to miss the upcoming projects, subscribe to my channel and yeah, see you in the next video.